What's good, y'all? It's your boy BioSpider 3.0, keeping the action going with a two for review today. We got two figures to look at. They're relatively basic, Marvel Legends figures, so I figured we'd go ahead and look at two of them in one review. I said, why not? Because, there's not too much to them, not a whole lot of accessories and things that we need to go over, so shouldn't take too much time. Should be about the same, length as a standard review. But yes, today we are having a look at the Spider-Man No Way Home MJ figure, as well as Matt Murdock himself. So yeah, I'm excited, man. I got, reviews lined up for you guys. I got all types of figures that have been coming in lately. I just haven't had time to get up the reviews and actually film them because I've been busy with work and other things, hobbies and all types of stuff, man. Been a busy guy, but all that said, I am excited to finally get into this review, and there's actually a video. The reason that a lot of the figure reviews have been getting delayed is because I've been working on a video, and I want that video to go up first before you see any of these reviews, like including this one. So I'm gonna make sure I get that video up first because it's pretty important and pivotal to the channel. And then after that goes up, you'll see this review as well as all the other ones that I will be filming or have filmed already. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it, man. So we got some, I guess I'll show off, the packages are basically exactly the same, just different figures. So we got a card back of Spider-Man No Way Home. I really like the artwork right here on the side. We got Tobey Spider-Man up top. We got Andrew's Amazing Spider-Man right there, and then Tom Holland, of course, Spider-Man MCU Spidey right there, and then at the top in big, words, Marvel Studios Spider-Man No Way Home, ages 4 and up right there in the corner. So, obviously they want to, target a specific demographic with these figures, so 4 and up. Warning, of course, a little warning down there, choking hazard, small parts, not for children under 3 years, which is what that indicates as well. On the back, same artwork, from the front, just bigger. Then we get a quick read up. It says MJ, or Marvel's MJ. It says MJ was looking forward to senior year with Peter and Ned, but the reveal of Peter's Spider-Man identity disrupts her plans. So, yeah, that's a pretty basic, quick read up of basically what happened in No Way Home. Kind of following up from the events of Far From Home after Pete got his identity revealed to the world by Mysterio. And yeah, so there you go. There is MJ in her package, and then quick look at Matt Murdock in his same exact packaging as far as the style. Just him inside instead of MJ, of course. And on the back, we get a read up for him as well, which reads, Matt Murdock. With Peter under investigation by the Department of Damage Control, Matt Murdock steps in, knowing the web slinger will need a really good lawyer. So yes, Matt Murdock, the famous lawyer, blind lawyer, I should say, from Hell's Kitchen, the famous Daredevil, alter ego, vigilante Daredevil. Here he is. So I'm pretty excited, man. I don't have any, actually don't have any Daredevil figures in the collection right now. And even though this obviously isn't a Daredevil figure, it's nice to have a Matt Murdock civilian figure. I like having the civilian, forms as figures as well. So, and Mafex is actually coming out with their comic Daredevil figure later this year, and I'm super excited for that one. So, I think this guy will look really dope, next to that Daredevil in the display. I can't wait for that one to come out. And yeah, I think this Marvel Legends Matt Murdock will look solid next to that Daredevil, even though that's going to be a comic Daredevil, and this is obviously based off of the Netflix, real live action Daredevil show. What's this guy's, Charlie Cox? Is that his name? I think that's his name. Yeah, who plays him? So, but yeah, very excited to look at both of these. So, without further ado, let's get each of them open out of their cards, and we'll take a closer look. Very, very excited. I want to say I got each of these back in maybe December or early January. I actually saw them at my local Target in the toy section, and I remember seeing a review by Screw Toys. I'll be sure to leave his link in the description. But yeah, I remember seeing a link from Screw Toys, or sorry, a review of these two figures, and I remember him saying in his review that they had street dates or something like that, and I didn't know quite what he meant by that. I was like, he was saying, he was mentioning something about like them being on shelves, and then I think he tried to like purchase them, but he couldn't, because I guess like even though they were on the shelves, they weren't technically set to be like released to the public yet. And so, I kind of like forgot that he had said that, and then I saw these figures at Target, and I tried to buy them, and then when I went to scan them at self checkout, it wasn't letting me purchase them, and I was like, man, what's going on? And then one of the cashiers came over to kind of help me and check it out, and she told me that they technically weren't able to release them, or like people weren't able to buy them just yet because they had like a street, she didn't use the term street date, but she basically said like that was the case, that like they had an actual date for being sold to the customers that apparently wasn't at the time when I went. So I was like, oh, okay. So I actually had to come back later on just to buy both of these, and I was really hoping that they both would be there. I think I want to say I bought them at different times. Like, I'm not sure if I bought MJ. Actually, it might have been the same day. I don't know. Because I remember seeing there was a lot of the MJ figures on the shelves, and then the Matt Murdock, I think there was only like maybe one or two. I could be wrong. It's been a while, but I remember there being like a lot more MJs than the Matt Murdocks. And but when I did go back, I was, luckily I was able to get both of them, secure both of them. So I was like, yay, let's go, man, let's go. So very, very excited to have both of these in the collection. This is obviously an updated design to MJ. I already have the MJ from the Homecoming, 2-pack. And I will do a comparison with that MJ in the size comparisons later, so we can see the differences. Okay, I'm trying to get this, trying to somewhat preserve this card because it is a nice card, but man, Hasbro makes it kind of hard to keep these things nice, these packages, card backs in particular. Let me see if I can get her out of the clamshell. Okay, there we go. Alright, not too shabby. Let's get her out. Push out the plastic. Alright, so here we go. Okay, yeah, I'll say that actually looks a lot better. So I have some things to say about this MJ figure, particularly regarding the look of her, like her face sculpt. But I will say it'll be positive because in the beginning I wasn't quite sure it was going to be. But looking at her now, having her in hand, I will definitely say it's going to be some positive things said about her. So that's obviously a good thing. Let's see if we can get make sure we got good lighting in here. All right, cool. So here is the new MJ, the No Way Home version of MJ. You can see she's got her little sweater on. I think it was executed pretty well as far as the design. This is actually a soft plastic on her like torso, so like going from here, like around her chest and everything. This is like a softer kind of rubbery plastic, and it's kind of like a loose piece, so it does have like a little bit of space in between her and like like her undershirt that she's wearing. There's like a little bit of space in between that, so I guess that was like the smart thing for them to do, just so you can kind of get more articulation out of her. Like obviously if you want to move the arms and stuff, you want to have like a softer plastic so that she can kind of flex it and get her arms moving. But I will say it looks a little like choppy in between, like where it goes over her shoulders, because this almost starts to look like a strap instead of like a one uniform piece of a sweater. And the way it kind of like sticks up, over here by her shoulders, maybe not the best looking thing aesthetically, but I mean, it's not too bad. And I get why they designed it that way. So, I'm not going to complain about that too much, but I just wanted to kind of point that out. But looking at the head sculpt, I will say the head sculpt honestly looks pretty dang good. And I was a little bit worried because I remember when the promo images for her came out, some of those images, I don't know, the head sculpt looked kind of weird to me. It kind of looked too masculine. I felt like they were making like her jawline seem like really like strong and like her face a little too wide. And so, I was like, I don't know about that MJ. I might have to just, stick with the one I've got. But thankfully, it looks like, they actually got her face sculpt down pretty clean. I like it. It definitely looks like how she looked in the movie, like especially with the expression she has on her face. It's like kind of serious and, a little more focused, maybe even a little solemn. Maybe she's sad because Aunt May just died and she's trying to be there for Peter. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it actually came out looking a lot better than I originally thought it would. So that is a good thing. I gotta say the overall sculpt of like her sweater and the clothes look really nice. I love the wrinkles, like the kind of like sculpted wrinkle texture going through her sweater to make it look more realistic. You can see right here on the back. It's kind of it might be kind of hard to tell because there's no like actual shading to bring it out, but there is actually like a sculpt of kind of like a wavy type of texture on her sweater in the back, so it looks like it's got some wrinkles, so that's really cool. And yeah, on her pants, same thing. You got wrinkles in the right places, like right here around her legs, a little bit in the front as well. So I think that looks pretty good. Shoes look good. I like the little boots that she wears. These seem to be, I want to say these are pretty much the exact same boots that they gave her in the first release, the Homecoming 2-pack, but still looks, just as good. We've got the white paint underneath there for her socks. And then, obviously her jeans or trousers kind of stop, just below, so we get a little bit of skin tone right there too. So that looks good. Yeah, man, pretty solid. As far as the aesthetics go, I really like it so far. It looks really nice. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and look at play and display real quick, and then we'll get one last, up close look at her, and then we'll move straight to Matt Murdock. All right. So for play and display, we'll start with the head sculpt. We can look up. Wow, farther than I thought, to be honest with you. That's actually really good. So she can look up very nicely, and I think that looks pretty natural. Obviously, you're going to see a bit of that hinge as you move it all the way up. Hasbro has the ball hinge set up, so you are going to see, that hinge as she looks up, which obviously might not be the most pleasing thing to look at, but, at least the functionality is there, and they kept the hinge, the same, consistent with the rest of her skin tone, so it doesn't look too bad. So yeah, that's very nice. And her hair, let's see. Her hair is like mostly a hard plastic, but luckily, given the fact that it's like kind of in a ponytail or like, kind of like tied, and it's kind of just, draping down behind her, it doesn't really interfere with the articulation as you try to move her head back. Whereas if she had like, hair that kind of came down like in the front and like on her shoulders and stuff, if it was a hard plastic, it would probably impede a little bit of that articulation. But you can see here, since she has like, her hair in this style, it actually really helps for her range looking up. So looking down, she's able to look down about that far. Really good. She can tuck her chin all the way into her neck like that. So that looks really good. She can look straight down. Looking forward, she can turn side to side. Matter of fact, she should be able to rotate 360. Yep. We've got a nice ball peg on there. Just move the hair a little bit past her shoulder there. There you go. There she is looking straight again. We obviously get a little bit of tilting. Yeah, just a little bit. I think the tilting could be a little better. Maybe the ball peg is... Let's see how big the ball peg is. I'm just going to pop her head off real quick because I'm curious to see what that ball peg is looking like. Come here, Zendaya. Pop that head off real quick. Okay. So there is the ball peg underneath. Yeah, it's a pretty big ball peg. And then you can see at the top they kind of have like a carved out like section, like a little slightly hollowed out section from the side. Hopefully you can see that. Let me try not to block too much of the light here, but yeah. So you can see I think that's how Hasbro designs like most of their figures nowadays. You know, the Marvel Legends, and you know, I think that's typically the ball peg size and shape that they use. So yeah, I mean it tends to work, you know, decently well. I think for the nuance posing, like the kind of tilting side to side. I'm not sure if like maybe the ball should be like a little bit smaller for her to get like more range going side to side. That's what I'm thinking though. I'm thinking the ball peg would have to be a little bit smaller, but you know, Anthony's Customs is really good at breaking down like the engineering of action figures, and he always says like Hasbro. He always talks about the double ball peg system that Hasbro uses, and I think he gets on them for I think they tend to put like a big ball at the top, like where the head is, and then like a small one down like in the neck, so like the kind of like dumbbell ball peg system. And I think they basically do it like the opposite of how it should be done if you want maximum range. At least they have in the past, and Anthony would always like call them out on that. And then I think recently they I don't know if they like watched his videos or what, but I think, you know, somehow they started like listening to that advice, I guess, because they started like changing their figures up. And he even mentioned it in some of his videos. He's like, you know what, I'm taking credit for that because I've been saying it for years, and it looks like, you know, Hasbro finally did it. So I was like, hey, I can't blame him, man. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to that kind of stuff. So it seems like Hasbro is kind of paying attention to that. And yeah, I mean, we're getting pretty good range, at least, you know, out of the head for figures these days. So that is a good thing. But yeah, she gets a little bit of kind of wiggling around in that ball peg, a little bit of nuance posing so you can get her a little more expressive, tilting her head in various different directions. All right. So for the arms, she can lift up. We're on a ball and a hinge, so she's able to lift up about that far. So about a 90-degree angle, maybe just slightly more. All the way down to her sides as far as it'll go. That's as far as the plastic will let her go. She's able to rotate 360. All right, so be aware her arm does stick out a little bit. It doesn't come down perfectly by her side, so when you rotate it, it's going to kind of be at an angle, but that's not too bad. No bicep swivel, but we do have a forearm. Yeah, we do have a forearm swivel. So there is a kind of, at the section of the elbow where the elbow meets, we have like a little forearm swivel in there with her sweater. And it is nicely, you know, it's painted nicely so that when you rotate it, you know, not too bad, and the lines still line up with the rest of the, you know, upper arm, so that's really good. She's got a hinge for the, at the elbow. It looks to be a single jointed type of hinge, but it does let her get a pretty good bend. She's able to kind of bend her arm more than 90 degrees, and that seems to look, you know, mostly flush. I mean, obviously there's going to be a little bit of a, you know, gapping, like a little bit of a kind of poking out right there, but not too bad. That still looks pretty good. All right. So she gets a little better than 90 degrees, which is awesome. And then for the hands, we have some rotation in the fist. So that's good. It's on a hinge, and it seems like it can hinge up and down or in and out depending on how you have it, you know, situated. But yeah. Vertical hinge, not really. It doesn't feel like a vertical hinge. It gets a little bit of play going up and down, but it doesn't feel like it was designed to be a vertical. It's supposed to be a horizontal, so as far as I can tell. So there you go. Let's see, for torso, obviously no cuts, so no diaphragm joint or anything here as far as I can tell. I don't think she has anything under there. Hard to tell under this sweater, but let's see, she can rotate at the waist, so she can twist side to side. Does she get any leaning? She gets just a little bit of leaning. Yeah, a little leaning to the side, so not too bad. There's probably a ball peg somewhere in there in the middle of the torso, so she gets a little bit of leaning to each side, just a bit. Okay. And for the legs, we do have a thigh swivel on each side, so there's a nice thigh cut, and it's not too noticeable. Very nicely. I mean, you can clearly see it, but it actually blends in pretty nice with the rest of the pants. Especially this is like a darker color, not too noticeable, so that's nice. And then she does get a thigh swivel, upper thigh swivel right there. Double jointed knees that allow her to bend that far back, so the foot comes pretty much to her butt. You know, the heel comes pretty much to the top of her butt, or like at the, you know, end of her lower back, extending back down. And then you can hinge. We have a toe hinge, so she can get her, you know, foot pointing all the way down, pointing up that far, which is pretty good. And let's see, we do get a nice swivel in the ankle swivel or rocker side to side with some really good range. So yeah, that's pretty good. How about out to the side? That's pretty good. She can get a nice, you know, out to the side kick, so that's pretty good. Might not be able to do full splits, but she is getting some pretty good range out to the side. So that's really nice. This is the type of range I need to see on every Spider-Man figure. Hasbro, you know what I'm saying? Like it's ridiculous if Spider-Man can at least get this pose when it comes to the legs. You know, there should be no excuse. So yeah, that's really good. I want to see that type of range on every freaking Spider-Man figure from now on. We'll see if Hasbro delivers on that. But yeah, that seems to be pretty much her range. Let's see, I guess we didn't really show kicking forward and back. So forward, she's able to get that far. She's able to kick to pretty much a 90, just about a 90 degrees. So that's really good. To the side, and then kicking back, she goes only about that far before it hits the sculpt. So, you know, basic Hasbro stuff. But again, she's a civilian character, so we don't expect too much out of her, right? But yeah, so that seems to be her range. As far as the arms, again, like ball and hinge. So if you get the hinge facing the right way, you can bring her arm in about that much. It kind of sticks out. She definitely can't really cross her arms over her body. And then if you get the hinge facing this way, you can get her arm to swing back about that far, which is pretty much just straight to the side. You can get it a little bit farther, I guess, but probably don't want to push that too much. Don't want to stress the plastic, but yeah. So I think this is a pretty decent batch of articulation, especially for a civilian character. You know, this is MJ, so she's not going to be doing too much as far as action poses and things like that. But we can definitely get her doing some cool, you know, poses for sure, without a doubt. So very, very nice. So that is MJ. Real quick, I'm just going to show her accessories, and then I'll show one last up close look at her, you know, the sculpt, you know, the face sculpt and the body and everything. But she does come with a few accessories. We have, number one, we have this box, this Doctor Strange box that was, of course, seen in the movie that Doctor Strange was trying to use to, you know, use a spell with this box so that he could send all the villains, you know, back to their universes, back to their homes. And Spidey obviously, you know, stole this from Strange at one point, and Strange was fighting him to try to get it back. And Peter ended up outsmarting him, so that was a very funny scene, very cool to see in the MCU too. That Doctor Strange Spidey relationship, very, very cool. But yeah, this doesn't look half bad, man. I think the paint obviously could be a little more there. Like it's kind of just molded in this sort of like greenish gray, like dark gray plastic. You do get like, it's kind of hard to see on camera, but hopefully it shows up. There are kind of like hints of green in the corners here. There's some green paint. And then, yeah, it seems to be like that on pretty much all sides. So, you know, 6-sided cube. But yeah, the actual cube itself seems to be molded in this kind of dark gray plastic. And then inside you can see this kind of like a very dirty yellow type of paint scheme to whatever's in there, you know, inside the box. It kind of shines and like lights. Well, in the movie, you know, it kind of like lights up or whatever. There's like a glow that comes from it. Obviously it's not present in this little, you know, toy or whatever, but still looks really good. And I like I like the amount of detail. You know, I think this is pretty decent for a Hasbro, you know, Marvel Legends piece. Again, I think the paint could obviously be a little bit more vibrant to, bring out some of those details. But, again, this is Hasbro. They tend to kind of cheapen out a little bit on the accessories. But it doesn't look half bad, man. I like the design. This kind of like, reminds me of like the Sanctum Sanctorum design. I probably pronounced that wrong, but the little the little house where Doctor Strange hangs out. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. So that symbol, so very very cool. So we have that, and then we have a couple of alternate hands for her, and they're really just a pair of open hands. So you saw that she comes with two fists on her, and then if you want, you can have either side switched out with a open, relaxed hand like that. And yeah, I'm pretty sure these are like the same ones, or almost. Actually, no, I take that back. I'm looking at the Homecoming MJ right now. She seems to have a kind of different sculpt for her open palm hands. So I think this is actually like an all new mold for these hands. So that's cool. At least Hasbro is, trying to switch it up a little bit and not be, lazy. Give us a little something new. But yeah, that's cool. So yeah, nice little open palm hands. So you get two of those for each side. But yeah, so that's all her accessories. So we'll get one last close look at her. And again, I think it's designed pretty well. Obviously, the paint looks pretty good for all of her clothes. I like the silver for like the buttons and stuff on her jeans. That looks really good. And then again, this face sculpt actually came out pretty good, I have to say. Pretty good likeness, I would say, to Zendaya. That's like my celebrity wifey, man. Tom Holland. Tom Holland can get his ass kicked any day of the week. Not I'm playing, but nah, for real. I've had a crush on Zendaya like ever since I was a kid, man. Back when she was on like Shake It Up on Disney Channel, that was the first thing I ever saw her in. And yeah, man, I just she's always been my celebrity crush ever since that show. And but yeah, I would say that the likeness on this figure actually came out pretty good. That definitely looks like her, and I like that they kind of added paint for the lips, because on the previous release she had like color on her lips, and I'll show you here in a second. But it's definitely like more saturated on this new release, and I don't think that's to like make her look like she has like lipstick or anything on, because I'm pretty sure she never wore lipstick in the movie. This MJ doesn't even seem like the type that would wear lipstick, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I like the color for the lips. It's pretty much the same as like what's on her sweater. So it's kind of like purplish color, but it definitely excuse me, definitely adds some finesse to like her face sculpt and gives it that extra layer. Makes her face sculpt look a lot more realistic. The eyes look really good. Yeah, and the eyebrows and everything very well sculpted. So yeah, very very nice figure, man. Very nice to have it in the collection now. Definitely need some more civilian figures. Can't be just having all the superheroes and villains. So there is MJ, and now let's go ahead and take a look at